In the past, talking about steroids was kind of a taboo. Bodybuilders would try to dismiss the claim as much as possible to keep the narrative that it was achieved completely by hard work and that you just had to work harder and that you could do it too. But over the past decade, with fake Natty videos and overall criticism about dishonesty and leading their audience to having unrealistic expectations of what they can and cannot achieve being 100% natural, there has been an increase in public figures being more open and honest about their steroid usage. And even though these figures seem to be in good faith when discussing these topics, it's the fact that they have also discussed risks associated with the intake of these substances. I have realized there's an increase in people taking steroids, mainly the younger generation, and being open about it online, indirectly and sometimes directly, influencing people of similar age to take steroids before they've even been training for a long enough period of time to see actual gains. And this kind of makes me wonder, like, was it better when fake natties would lie? Hi, I'm Kamal, Coach King. Let's talk about fake naturals today. Disclaimer, I'm not saying that fake natties are good, and I think that lying to your audience is always a bad thing, and that you shouldn't be on steroids until you fully understand the risks and have already been training for a decent amount of time, unless recommended by a medical professional. So, I must start off by saying that lying to your audience is always bad, and it leads to a lack of trust which damages your reputation and isn't easy to fix at all. And this especially applies when your body is part of the product that you're selling. Then your platform hinges on how good you look, and that it kind of forces you to look the best you possibly can. And later down the line, that tends to have you take PDDs as a fitness influencer, as you can only get so big naturally. But if someone is secretly enhanced and selling a natural dream, they're not just lying about themselves, they're lying about what their audience should expect from their own body. And here's where I think things have changed. Back then, the lie was usually, I'm natural, I just work harder than you, and if you wanted to get big like me, all you have to do is just work really hard, and you'll get there eventually. And yes, of course, there was some truth to that, but really it was damaging because it made normal people feel like they were lazy and undisciplined or just genetically cooked, when really they were just comparing themselves to someone who had the help that they weren't admitting to, and they had virtually no chance in actually reaching that level without said help. And even if they had the help, it was still iffy because it all come down to genetics at the end. But now the lie has evolved. Now it sounds more like I'm enhanced, but at least I'm honest about it, so it's better because I'm more responsible and better than these liars. And though the transparency is admirable, it doesn't share the same sentiment, because being honest about taking steroids doesn't automatically mean that you're not influencing people to take them, especially when the person watching is young, they're insecure, they're impatient, and likely desperate to look bigger as quickly as possible. And that's the part people don't want to talk about, because a grown man with 10 years of training experience making a decision is one thing, but some random teenager or someone like their early 20s who's barely trained properly, barely understands nutrition, barely knows how to progressive overload, and is already talking about testosterones, SARMs, tren, peptides, like that's a completely different conversation. Some of these guys haven't even built proper discipline yet, already hopping on juice because they're too impatient to do it properly, especially with this short attention span epidemic. In fact, there's a large chance that most people have already clicked off this video, and yes, it's because my editing is terrible, but the people who are here is already likely looking at other videos to watch after this one. So, the old fake natty era gave people unrealistic expectations, but the new enhanced honesty era is doing something else. It's making enhancement look a lot more normal, not serious. It's not a taboo, it's not something that should come with real thought. It's not real thought, medical supervision, age, maturity, and an understanding of the rest. Just something that you shouldn't take, but you might as well take this if you will take it. It's making enhancement look a lot more normal instead of being serious. It's not a taboo, it's not something that should come with real thought, medical supervision, age, maturity, and an understanding of the rest. Instead, it's something that you shouldn't take, But if you're gonna take it anyway, you might as well take this. You scroll online and see young guys casually talking about peptides, SARMs, testosterone, blood work cycles, side effects, and if you're going to do it, like do it properly. And I get the intention behind the warnings because it's likely the best way to go if there's more people taking it, especially with the whole boom in gym culture as of late. If you can't stop the intake, then you might as well tell them how to minimize damage after all, which that sounds like complete sound logic to me, because some people are genuinely trying to reduce harm. But at the same time, you have to ask the obvious question, at what point does harm reduction become promotion? Because when your physique is enhanced, your confidence is enhanced, your content is built around being enhanced, and your business benefit from people being interested in someone that looks enhanced, most times without even knowing it. You can't just say, I'm not telling anyone not to do it and then pretend your influence disappears. That's not how influence works. Another thing I picked up on is that there tends to be a lot of grifting is this, because the fitness industry has always sold insecurity. Before it was just fat burners, weight trainers, magic meal plans, and six-pack in 30 days nonsense. Now it's more polished. Now it's optimization. Now it's biohacking. Now it's looks maxing. Now it's someone with an enhanced physique with a Lambo in the background telling young men that they're tired and have low energy and low testosterone and not masculine enough, and they're not disciplined enough, they're not serious enough, and this is what you have to do. And conveniently, there's always something to sell after that, whether it's a generic coaching plan that normally isn't made for a natural person due to the amount of volume it has in the workouts, or it's garbage supplements with scientifically unsupported promises, or some kind of bullshit course that promises this kind of lifestyle and normally includes a Lambo in the background because it always has to be a Lambo for some reason. That's why I don't think the problem disappeared when fake natties started getting called out. In fact, I think the problem took on a new form, because the old message was, you can look like me naturally if you do enough work. But the new message now is, I'm not natty, and even though I thought it was awesome at the time, it's probably not a good idea for you to take it because of the drawbacks. And depending on who's saying it, that might be even more dangerous, because these people likely got a lot of their views because they're built like a brick wall. So no matter what they say, the kid sitting on the other side of the screen is gonna think, steroids is bad, but I wanna look like a brick wall just like him. And in that lens, it makes the problem even worse, because with these fake natties, they weren't even thinking about steroids in the first place. They just thought it was hard work. So to wrap this video up, let me answer the question that I asked at the start of the video. Was it better when fake natties lied? And honestly, even though after all I've said, no, because at the end of the day, lying to people about what's natural is still wrong. It messes with people's expectations, it sells false hope, and it makes normal progress feel like failure. But I do think there was one thing that was different back then. It's that steroids felt like a line, a serious line, a line most normal people wouldn't even think about crossing. Now, because everything is so open, so casual, and so tied into content, money, and status, as well as lifestyle, that line looks a lot blurrier. And that's the part I think that we need to be honest about, because you can say don't do steroids all you want, but if your whole brand is built around the body, confidence, money, and attention, as well as lifestyle that came after using them, then the message people receive might not be the message that you think you're sending, especially with young men, especially with the ones that already feel behind, especially the ones who look in the mirror and think they're not big enough, they're not lean enough, they're not masculine enough, they're not disciplined enough or impressive enough to get the girls. Because when you're 16, all that matters is how much girls you can get at the end of the day. Those are the people that's content hits the hardest. And that's why I think the solution isn't fake natties lying again. The solution is more responsibility. If you're enhanced, be honest, but don't glamorize it. If you're selling coaching, be clear who your advice is actually for. If your physique is part of the marketing, don't act surprised when people want to copy the thing that helped build it. And if you're young, natural, or new to the gym, please understand that you don't need peptides, you don't need SARMs, and you don't need testosterone at that age. You simply need to train properly, eat properly, sleep properly, track your progress, stay consistent long enough to actually see what your body can do. You don't need roids, mate. You need patience, you need structure and consistency. And you need to stop comparing your journey to someone else's. Like, calm down, bro. You're not even old enough to drink yet. So no, fake natties don't do better. They lied, and lying is bad. But the new fitness culture hasn't fixed the lie. It just made the lie more complicated. To be honest, I've been only training for about 3 years, and the gains I've gotten is massive compared to when I started. I started at like 63 kilos. I'm now like, I think it's 93, 94, about that area. Sometimes move down to 92, sometimes come up to 95. But the strength I have now, like my bench is 140, my squat is 210, and my deadlift is 240. And I'm very much happy with my progress. And honestly, I think that other people like you start training and train over like a decent period of time, say the same 3 years or maybe even 4 years, chances are you'll also be hitting those numbers as well. You don't need steroids to do it. It's quite achievable naturally, actually. So actually like try being natural for a few years first, and then go on to the roids if you really want to. At least I think the youngest should be about 25, really, or after training for like 6-7 years, I guess. Just give it some time, really. I promise you, it's not that deep. You don't need steroids. Just try to do what you can. Thanks for watching. I put a lot of thought into this video, and I would really appreciate it if you liked the video, because I need a reason to work on my editing. There's gonna be a video or two after this in the recommended section. Please click on one of them. They're not as good as this one because I'm getting better with this whole YouTube thing, but I'd really appreciate if you watch it anyway. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.